Hi!
Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Corey.
And we are
Deep, dark, and...
kind of scary.
Not
really
this
week. This week's kind of bland.
Oh, Lord. So, Jen picked the movie this week.
I did.
Because I picked the movie last week.
Yeah. For our very first cult movie challenge week, Corey chose the movie. I wasn't very familiar with the challenge. Corey had done it before. I hadn't. So I was just like, close my eyes, pick a movie, basically. And I chose this particular movie because I thought it at least looked a little bit interesting to me because it had a sanitarium in it and an escapee and Joe Estevez.
This was Joe Estevez week, so any movie we would have watched would have had
Joe Estevez in it. But, yeah, so I picked Murder-in-Law, which is also known in this and other countries as Millie, right?
Millie. And we watched this movie on Prime. It was free.
Yes, it was free to watch on
Prime. And in the opening credits, it actually said Millie, and I was worried that we might have
picked the wrong one.
Wrong movie. But I guess for the reissue, it was retitled as Millie.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Now, I guess before we get into it, the tagline for this movie, and it's I'll post a picture of the mother of all horror.
Yeah, that couldn't be further from the truth, I don't think, with this movie.
This movie...
Not that we were expecting big things from this movie, but I was expecting a lot more than we got out of it. And just so you're aware, if you've never seen it, or if you care to see it later, we're going to be discussing the entire movie, so there will be spoilers if you ever plan on watching it.
Spoilers!
Not
if you
saying
haven't
I
seen
would
this
recommend
movie
it.
That came out in 1989
Yeah.
and is so bad, it's such a steaming pile of shit that Joe Estevez doesn't even have it in his filmography on his Wikipedia page.
Not there.
OMG.
Which was very humorous, I thought.
I'm like, Joe Estevez is even embarrassed that he was in this movie. There is no... there's barely an IMDb page for it. There's no information on budget, so we don't know. I'm guessing they paid someone $5,000 to make this movie for them.
Yeah, there's no name cast of characters. Although one girl looked really familiar. Is that the one we looked up and she's an adult film star? The nurse? The second time she goes in? Maybe?
Oh, I don't know that we looked her up.
But maybe not. That might have been the week before. She looks super familiar to me, but I couldn't place her, and I didn't bother to look her up, I guess. But, yeah, besides Joe Estevez, who, I might add, is the uncle to Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, looks just like Emilio Estevez. Or Emilio looks like him, I should say. But
even sounds like him in the first couple of scenes. I was like,
oh my gosh, it looks like, I was like, oh, there's an Estevez. Like, you can totally tell.
So the movie, I guess, opens in an asylum. And
so
not a very good asylum.
Joe Estevez's mother is in an asylum in Louisiana. And the movie is more a psychological thriller than anything, and it's not even that thrilling.
The mother of all horrors.
But, yeah. So she escapes by going through some very unlocked doors for a sanitarium. Like, just walks right out.
Even their doors on their cells weren't locked. She just opens it.
She just opens it, looks outside, carries her big ass trunk
Yeah.
down the hall and out the side, like, emergency exit is unlocked. No sirens,
She sneaks
no alarm.
past the nurse's station.
Oh, yeah, she has to go
and
right
through
past.
a gate that wasn't locked.
Yeah,
And out a door with a big sign that says exit.
it was crazy. And then she gets outside and she's hiding in the bushes, and an
orderly comes out to smoke
and sees her, so she kills him with like a big long metal rod. She must have.
They don't show that, but you can hear it, and then he comes back and he's like
He's got this huge metal rod right through him. And he can't even fall against the building because it's a prop, right? So he's literally trying to die on his side up against the wall. And I was laughing so hard.
Oh,
I was
my
like,
God.
you got to be kidding me. But anyways, so she kills that dude, supposedly. We don't know. It's all off screen.
Right.
And then she magically shows up at Joe's house.
San Francisco. Like
Louisiana to San Francisco.
There's date stamps on there, and I didn't pay attention to the date when she was in the insane asylum, but I'm guessing like a few days later or a week later she shows up at Joe Estevez.
Randomly on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Like knocks on the door and says, "Baby boy, I'm home." And he's even standing there like, Mom?
Yeah, like...
where have you been for the last 10 years? Like, he plays super dumb, right? He's an actor.
Well,
and she's been missing for 10 years. He had no idea where she was, supposedly, for 10 years. And her claim was she was in Paris.
She got married and she's in Paris.
She married a Frenchman.
She's going to take care of her baby boy. And,
yep.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, they put her up in this room and she's... Oh, yeah, in her insane asylum room, she has, like... crayon drawings all over the walls and weird stuff like
lots of symbols and weird animals and
that do not come into play at all, except for the statue later, I guess. But she's got this little statue, looks like Freddy Krueger.
It does a little bit, yeah. It does.
So, he puts her up for the night, and the wife's not happy. The mother-in-law and the wife don't get along, which I guess I love my mother-in-law.
That's Mom's baby boy, and this wife has taken him away from her, and that's the whole premise.
Ruined everything.
Has taken everything away from her. Like, okay.
So she goes to lay down and Joe and his wife end up getting it on, and the mom's like listening, and she's sour face as all get out. And the next morning at breakfast, everyone's sitting there. The mom refuses to sit next to the wife. She drags her feet over. "Where's my coffee?" And Joe takes the coffee down to her, and then the wife's like, "Well, how did you sleep last night?" And she goes, "I didn't over your fuck noises, or your fuck sounds, and I lost." Oh my God, I lost.
I'm pretty sure that's where Corey quit watching the movie, because he was so entertained by that one line. And so every time this grandma went to speak, it was, "Is she going to say fuck noises again?" I was like, "Jeez. Really?"
Oh my God.
One funny, comical, decent line in the movie.
5 stars just for that line.
That was pretty good. And she delivered it pretty well.
She did. She did play the disgruntled mother-in-law very well. Just not believable.
Marilyn Adams is her name. So she is, she freaked me out. I would not want her in my house, just saying. I love my mother-in-law, but I would not want this little woman in my house.
So,
it just creates havoc and chaos throughout the family, and the family has a maid caretaker kind of person who doesn't speak much English.
The word puta came out. quite a few times
And
out
if
of
you're
her
familiar with Spanish, you know that's not a very nice word. It's the same.
Right.
It's not a nice word.
So then
Carmen? Is that her name?
Carmen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to remember what happened. Oh, they had to go to work, and the wife, she goes up and starts going through the mother-in-law's room and sees the statue, and I swear I was like, the statue's going to play this major plot point. And the mother-in-law, all of a sudden, once she picks up the statue, the mother-in-law, like,
just shows up in the bedroom.
and she looks up, and then she, like, shows up in there, don't mess with my stuff! And I'm like, maybe the statue spoke to her, this could be really good. No. That's where you didn't see the statue after that.
Then it was just little things here and there, like her getting after the maid for ironing.
She did. She was sitting there that one scene, and she's got the toast, and the maid's in the kitchen. The maid just walks in, turns on her little Walkman. It's the 80s Walkman. And she's sitting there listening
Google
to some...
if you don't know what it is.
listening to some Tejano music or something, and the mother-in-law's at the breakfast table. She's got like a stack of toast, and she picks up a piece, and
She
she's
starts
like...
whipping it at her.
Whips it at the floor and hits her in the leg, and the maid looks down, picks it up, throws it in the trash, and the mother-in-law's like...
That didn't bother her, so I'll do it again.
Throw another one, and she does it like 2 or 3 times, and then the maid's like get a little upset each time, and then she takes the whole plate
and the plate shatters right at her feet, and she hits.
And then the mom comes in, or the mother-in-law, she like jumps on her, like starts spraying her with like soap and attacking her.
Oh yeah, pouring like dish soap on her from those huge dish soap bottles. She like knocks her to the ground, just pouring this stuff all over her. I was like, really? You just think she's dirty or what? I don't understand.
But then the mother-in-law goes up and starts putting on clothes in the daughter's room, and she sees herself in the mirror as the maid.
No, she sees herself as young and beautiful.
I thought
it's not the maid.
I thought it was the maid.
So this is where the psychological thriller part comes in, not necessarily the thriller part.
I had kind of checked out by this point.
Yeah, he heard that one line earlier, and I told you he was pretty much done. But the mother-in-law goes into the daughter-in-law's closet and puts on her best dress and her string of pearls and her makeup and all this stuff, and she's like dancing in front of the mirror, some Silence of the Lambs weird crap, like dancing in front of the mirror. Well, the camera pans to the mirror, and it's her looking at herself as a young, beautiful, Latina lady dancing, and she's
maybe that's why I thought it was the maid.
Making faces and duck faces or whatever they call, like kissy faces. Yeah, I'm like, we already know she's mentally insane, right?
She broke out of an
asylum. But it was just a weird plot. I get it. She was just, and she made a complete and utter mess of their bedroom by trying all these clothes on and all this stuff. You should rewind a little bit. I think you forgot to tell them about the cat.
Oh yeah, so the cat.
So mother-in-law, just to preface, does not also get along with the daughter and the son. Like,
no, they make fun of her so hard.
They laugh at her all the time.
They were calling her Christy Wrinkly.
Well, she came down to breakfast in this see-through lingerie nightgown thing. It was weird.
Negligee thing.
Oh yeah, Lord, what is going on?
The mom sends them to school early, and they were wanting after the fuck noises thing. Yep. They wanted to stick around in here because they were just loving that.
Yep.
And they were outside, and they called her like Christy Wrinkly, and that was pretty good. Yeah, the son and the daughter have a weird, borderline incestual relationship.
Yeah, those two.
It was weird. Awkward, and the daughter has a boyfriend who,
like, kisses the mom on the neck.
Yeah, like...
That was weird. Like,
in front of Joe Estevez, that was even
right
weird.
in front of him. And in front of the girlfriend, because the daughter was right there, too. Like, what is... whatever.
But they're, like, running around the house, and he's carrying her, like, on his back, and they're just, like... For no reason. They're not... Yeah, they're just... Yeah. Oh, we're just taking a trip through rooms. I got her on my back. Like, no...
Like, maybe if you're 7 or 8, but these are, like, 16, 17-year-olds.
Yeah, very awkward relationship. But anyway, the mother-in-law does not like the cat. Or the cat got into her room and scared her or something.
The cat snuck into her room. She left her door open. And then she went in there, and that's, like, right at the beginning. And she's setting up her little, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, with a record and a perfume bottle or something on top of this little dresser, and the cat freaks her out and makes her fall onto the bed. It's not like she falls on the floor or anything, but at this point now she hates the cat. And then she finds out that the wife, her son's wife, Joe Estevez's wife, loves this cat. This is like her cat. Well, then she's got to do something to this cat. So she sees it outside.
And then
there's, the score of the movie. You hear something's going to happen, right? And then they pan to it was like a kitchen or the dining room. Oh no, they were watching
in the living
TV.
Room. Yeah, the lights out.
Yeah,
the kids are watching.
The two kids are watching TV late, and
the
mom's eating a bowl of cat.
And she
you want
like
some?
Beef stew, and she's like,
yeah, she's like,
what are you eating, Grandma? And they're like, just a little something I whipped up or threw together, or something. And then she's like, you want some? And I'm like, oh, she's eating the cat.
Uh-huh. Like, this is some Fatal Attraction BS, like, thrown together stuff with the mom, and Sigmund Freud would be destroyed right now, just saying. Like, it was... Wow.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
And she puts the dead cat in one of the wife's dresser drawers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she opens up, and the cat's... Yeah. Grandma didn't get too much meat off the cat.
There's a couple of holes in it, and that was it.
Yeah, so... But... And,
it was weird.
Yeah, so then... Joe Estevez sticks up for his mom. Oh, this is my mother. It's nothing, maybe it's misunderstanding.
We'll help her find a place and get on her feet or whatever. We'll just let her stay here for a while, blah, blah. And this is after the wife has shown him, look at the mess in our bedroom, the dead cat in the drawer, and he just closes the drawer.
Oh, because Grandma's not there. She had on the good dress and the pearls, and they show the scene of her in, like, a town square. Like,
oh yeah, she walks outside,
dancing around and swinging the pearls, and in high heels, she's like gallivanting through the town square.
Loopy. Yeah, so she gets recommitted, but that's later.
Yeah, because the Saturday comes, and then the son and the dad were supposed to go fishing, and then the son always brings us up when the parents are having an argument about the mother-in-law, and Joe Estevez is just like shutting that shit down.
I'll take you fishing next week.
Yeah, we don't need to talk. Well, I reserved the boat. We'll talk about it later.
So weird, I'm telling you.
And so Saturday comes, and he's like, Dad, are we going to go fishing today? I got the boat reserved. And he's like, I'm going golfing today. We'll go next week. And the kid gets pissed off and storms out. You always say that, and it never happens. And so Joe has these pink pants, and it's been brought up in some of the reviews. Bright pink. And he goes golfing with his friend. His mom comes out of the backyard. The friend's like, "Oh, you got street people living in your backyard."
Because mother-in-law's wearing a raggedy long T-shirt.
It looks like there's bird shit all over it, and her hair.
Her hair is awful. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So he goes off golfing and leaves mom at home, and the wife takes off because she doesn't want to eat it.
No, the wife took the daughter shopping.
Oh, okay. And the son's in the garage smoking a joint because Dad left him at home alone. And the maid shows up, and they start making fuck noises in the garage. And Granny sees it, and I was waiting for another a good one-liner, but Granny just goes in and I think, well, the maid comes in.
That's when the maid comes in and she starts ironing Joe's shirts, and Granny's like, no, you're doing it wrong, and then kills her with the iron.
Kills her with the iron! Just
right on her face.
Smashing her with it, yeah.
It wasn't even good. Like, no blood, no nothing.
Yeah, just burns. And I don't think she would have died from that. Like, she was just pressing the iron into her face.
Yeah.
But evidently it killed her. And
yep.
So the maid went missing. And I guess that's kind of where I lost interest. Was after that.
Well, you lost interest long before that.
It really made me lose interest, though.
Well, because basically, besides the orderly, that was the first kill, unless you count the cat, which I don't really count the cat.
No.
But, so it was the second kill of the movie, and it's probably more than halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
Way more than halfway through. Because at this point, the length of time gets a little bit longer in between these scenes, because then they come home and they're like, well, Carmen hasn't been around, Carmen didn't show up, blah blah blah.
It was like
okay, big deal. It was like a week later.
Oh yeah, because they were going to go,
and then
they were
go
finally
fishing
going fishing, yeah,
on
so it was like
Saturday,
another week later.
And the girls were going shopping again, and they were going to go spend money. So she had, in this week though, that's when she got committed. Because the girls get home from shopping and the boys are gone. Oh,
that's right. Okay, so I forgot all about that. So, because I'm sitting there going, when's Joe Estevez going to show back up? But
yeah, it was like in this random week-long thing where they skip over a lot of days where there's nothing happens. Mm-hmm. And it's like a Monday or Tuesday and they go to work and mother-in-law's doing weird stuff, and the Joe Estevez's wife goes back in the bedroom and is like, there's something going on, something smells in the bedroom. Like, it's just kind of a back and forth. And then mother-in-law attacks the wife a little bit, and that's when she gets committed again.
Oh, that's locally. Right. Yeah.
So they throw in a local asylum, and that's when Joe finally finds out that she had been committed, because the wife found a thing under mother-in-law's pillow that was her gown from the previous asylum.
That was when he went golfing, because he's in the pink pants when he's looking at it. Yeah. So
he calls them, and they're like, oh yeah,
you need to turn her in.
Give
us your address. We'll get
super dangerous.
He's like, I'll take care of it myself. It's my mom, and blah blah blah.
But mother-in-law attacks his wife, and then they end up committing her. But in this time, like, he's on the phone, he finds out why she got committed the first time, and they figured out
it was
because one of the questions we had, or at least I had in the very beginning, was why did they not contact her family
when she got committed
the first time? So
I was expecting the first words out of Joe Estevez's mouth to be like, why aren't you in the hospital?
Yeah, but it's not. It's where have you been the last 10 years?
Yeah, so he didn't even know, and I'm like, this is odd that he didn't even know his mother had been in an insane asylum.
But they say, was it she was married to somebody and caught?
So she said she was in France and she had gotten remarried, but she was living in New Orleans in the French Quarter, married to an artist, and she killed him.
She had an affair.
Oh yeah,
and she killed them, and then
with the
statue,
which is evidence she would not have been able to keep that statue.
Right, but that was what they said, and she was admitted under some French name, Chevary or
okay, so yeah,
I don't know,
it
something.
wasn't Estevez, so
yeah, no, so there's no way they would have known or been able to find family for her
Right.
at all with an assumed name. So that's how we find out she was incarcerated the first time. And then they bring her back, and of course she knows the tricks and stuff. And the same thing with this asylum. Man, if I ever get locked up, put me in an asylum because I can walk right out.
Yeah,
according to this movie anyway, all the doors are just unlocked.
Yeah, she was in the rec room, and she's sitting there by the TV, like...
getting the antenna.
Yeah, wiggling the antenna off, and then she hides it.
And during night checks, when the nurse is doing the rounds to check to make sure they're all in bed,
she starts like
she's making noises,
fake crying or something, like she's in pain.
So she goes over there to look and right in the neck.
Right in the neck.
And then and walks out with her everything.
And she takes the nurse's clothes off, which should have blood on them from being stabbed. But yeah, and then she walks right out. She gets in a cab.
She hops in a taxi where the taxi driver
is a adult film star. No, he says he's in movies or something.
I'm an actor. And then she's all, "You're an actor?
Have I seen you in movies?" And he's like, "Well, I'm an adult." He uses the P word, but I'm an adult actor.
Yeah.
And they like have a whole conversation.
Yeah. But no. And then instead of she gives him Joe's address, but then has him drop her off like a block or two before, so she can go sneak in and do whatever she's gonna do. And which she does.
The mom and daughter
are the only ones home,
holding hands, watching some movie on TV.
They were like on the couch, like a catty corner.
They're like, oh.
Yeah, they're like this TV show. I don't know what they're watching, but yeah, they're like, I'm telling you, these weird '80s movies. I don't know, but yeah, they're watching a movie, and she sneaks in the side door and starts creeping around the house, and the daughter's boyfriend calls and says, "Hey, I'm gonna come pick you up for the late show."
The late
movie or something or whatever.
Going to the late show.
And mom says, "Yeah, you can go." So she's
Isn't
like,
it getting kind of late? And she's like, "That's why they call it the late show."
Ha ha ha. Mm-hmm. So she's like, "Yeah, I can go. It's okay.
I just need to take a shower first." That's why Jen picked this movie.
One set of knockers this time. Only one. It was funny. Corey's like, "That's why you picked this movie." I'm like, "Yep, because there was only one set." Not 12 like the last movie.
So the daughter gets out of the shower, and Grandma had snuck into the house, and she
went and had to search for the right knife in the knife block.
Yeah, she pulls out like this little knife, and she's like, puts it back in the drawer, and then she turns around, and there's the knife block, and she pulls out the sharpener first. Nope. And the next one's like the
carving knife.
The carving knife, yeah.
10-inch carving knife.
She's like,
yeah.
And she
That's the one.
Goes upstairs, and the daughter bathrobe.
Robe. Yeah.
And she like puts the knife to her throat, and the daughter's like,
"Oh, Grandma, that hurts. You're hurting me."
And then Grandma just like
slices
down,
all the way to her girl parts. But the knife is only in not very far. At least, camera angles. I get it's a movie, right?
Right, but it just
but it's not like she's trying to gut her.
Wound.
Yeah, it was.
And the daughter she falls
faints.
over. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, there's kill number 7.
I was like, kill number 4.
Well, yeah.
4 or 5. No, yeah, 4-ish.
And then she goes downstairs, and the mom's making the worst looking
chocolate silk pie or something. It's just chocolate pudding pie. Yeah. Like if you have ever made the chocolate pudding mix and then put it in a pie
graham cracker crumbs on top of it instead of like whipped cream.
I put graham cracker crumbs on the top of mine.
But it needs like whipped cream and then some graham cracker crumbs.
Listen to this culinary genius over here.
Everything's better with whipped cream.
Oh my goodness. What in the world?
So, anyway, it was a pretty shit looking pie.
All
Or is
right.
it shit pie?
I'll remember not to make you pie, because...
What were you saying about the help is shit pie?
Oh, because that's exactly what it looked like, the pie on the Help movie.
So, Grandma comes sneaking up behind the mom, and she's like, gonna stab her, and floorboard creaks or something, and Mom turns
whips
around,
and Grandma just gets her in the leg.
Yeah.
And then she swings the pie up in her face.
She gets a face full of shit pie.
I'm like, really? You just got stabbed in the leg, and the thing you're going to do is throw a pie?
It's turned into the Bozo show.
Yeah. What is going on?
So, then, the mom, like, takes off, but I think she forgot which leg got stabbed because she was putting all of her weight on the other leg.
She
on
was
the
lifting the wrong leg.
And then, so then, yeah, like, after she had killed the maid, too, we were like, every time something happens, she goes, looks in somewhere, we're like, is she gonna find the maid's body? And
so she was in the basement.
She goes into the basement and opens up a door that, like, there's some noise, and she opens it up, and the maid's body falls out. And I'm like, oh, the one time I wasn't like, is she gonna find the maid's body?
Yeah, because it was like just a random cabinet in the middle of their basement. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, right. It's going to be, like, hidden in her closet. Or at first I thought it was in her trunk, because her trunk is big enough. She could have totally shoved her body in there.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, it's definitely in there, because the grandson was, like, trying to carry
her when they took her to the insane asylum.
She's totally in there. She was.
And she's got it, like, zip tied or something. She's got, like, more ties around it to keep it shut.
They never show you what's in that trunk. Just saying.
Well,
you never see what's in there.
In the beginning, it shows her packing it when she leaves the insane asylum.
Right, but they never, because she unpacks it at the house, and you never see what's in it after that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was like, there might be another body in there.
We'll have to wait for the director's cut.
Oh my God, no. I am not.
So, and then...
So Mom runs upstairs and finds a daughter, and by this time, the boyfriend gets there.
Oh, but when the mom runs up the stairs... I think she forgot she had a wound altogether because she's running, and then she gets, and then she's like,
gets to the very top.
I gotta live.
Yeah.
And then she starts falling up the stairs, and it's like, oh my God, yeah, horrible act. I'm like, did she forget she had a limp?
It was pretty bad acting. It was comical by this point, where like,
honestly, like this part of the movie, I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm. He had to rewatch it.
So I rewatched it like 20-30 minutes before we started filming this, so I could know what happened at the end.
Yeah. I saw the whole thing.
It was not worth the 10 to 20 minutes that I missed.
I tried to tell him.
Except for I wouldn't have got to see her forget that she had a limp.
Yeah.
And then Mom... they get up into the bedroom, they're struggling some more, and they go out onto the widow's walk or whatever. There's like a...
Oh, no. Boyfriend got there, and Grandma slices up the boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Across the abdomen.
Right across the abdomen. It looked like a shark tear.
Oh, boyfriend shows up for the late show, no shirt on.
No shirt.
Leather
just a
jacket.
leather jacket.
Yeah. I'm like, what late show were they
but
going to?
But man, that knife slid in that stomach awfully
nice. Yeah, I think that was a kill. I'm counting that as a kill.
That was a gut. That was definitely, he would not survive that one.
But then they end up on the widow's walk.
So mother-in-law goes up the stairs and basically has already counted her granddaughter as dead. Didn't even go look for her. Mm-hmm. But the daughter-in-law is like running around and tries to block the door with a flimsy chair.
She tries to push the dresser in front of the door.
On carpet first.
And it's not moving, and I'm like, well, if she was able to move it, it wouldn't be a very effective door block. So then she grabs a chair and does the old, like, Bugs Bunny, like, stick the chair under the door to block, and mother-in-law, like, easily...
pushes right through.
Yeah. Couple of shoves. And she sees that the door is open to go outside, and mother-in-law goes out and she's looking around, and you hear the creepy music. The score in this movie, awful. But yeah, you see like the camera like creeping through, and I'm like, is that the mother-in-law, and then you see like the mother-in-law through like this.
Yeah, and the mother-in-law's like looking over the little balcony down, like she's looking for somebody to leave the house or something. And then daughter-in-law comes up and
Attacks her.
scares her to try to get the knife away. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you just push her over? She was already like leaning over.
She goes to get her, and
Yeah.
the mother-in-law like gets her on the railing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And then they battle over the knife a little bit, and
The daughter-in-law finally gets the knife, and
she's like, come at me, come at me, come at me.
and the
then
mother-in-law like lunges, like does a running like run and jump,
yeah.
and just over the balcony.
The daughter-in-law steps out of the way,
And the camera pans so you're looking straight up as the mother-in-law's like,
and you can tell it's a stunt dude.
yeah, she's coming down, and then the camera like shakes, and Jen's like, maybe they were close to the landing pad. So then the daughter-in-law standing up there. I'm like, there was only one story up. Like, she survived that easy.
Yeah, unless she went like totally head first and smug.
But
like,
the way it was, she was
smacked it
pretty
on the
flat, or
concrete.
like, yeah, she was.
Yeah, she would have hit. Yeah, no.
So then the camera goes down, and mother-in-law's
laying
laying
on the
like
sidewalk.
20 yards.
Like,
it
way
seems
far
like.
away.
Yeah, she's like so far away from the balcony, and face
A little
first,
bit of blood.
and a little bit of blood, and then this huge shadow that looks like, I thought it was blood at first, but she's dead, and I'm like, she wouldn't have jumped that far out, and she wouldn't have. I don't know. Yeah, and then it just ends. No more Joe Estevez.
Yeah, they don't even talk to the two, the dad or the son. Either one come back. That's it. Credits. Done.
The only thing I'm thinking, now that you brought it up, though, is that it was the day of the fishing trip, and they said they were going to make a long weekend of it.
Yeah.
I was just hoping that they might come home and
Right.
a little bit of resolution to what happened, but
No.
they were gone fishing.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's...
And I mean, the mother-in-law didn't even know that. Like, she was in the asylum when they decided to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So, the whole storyline kind of went south almost immediately.
Yeah.
It could have been great as a psychological thriller, and I know I've seen some.
And if Joe would have come home, like, there could have been some interaction with, like, oh, my baby boy, like, just give something more to the story, but
and then the daughter comes out and hugs her mom at the end. Like, she crawls because all of a sudden you see, like, a hand come out and grab the mom. And
yeah, that's right.
Because he's like, is she alive? Is that the daughter?
Yeah, there's another kill, and Jen's like,
no. There's no way she would have died from that cut from that knife. There's no way.
But I had fallen asleep, and I woke up right at the end, and I was like, oh, was it good? How did it end?
Not good. I don't recommend it. Definitely not a horror movie by any means.
No.
The kills weren't clean. The special effects weren't great.
There was blood.
The makeup was okay because the only one I thought was pretty good actually was on Carmen, because they actually make her look like gray. Like, I've been in morgues. I used to volunteer at a hospital. I've watched autopsies. I have been present. I've seen that grayish color on a dead body. So I thought that makeup was probably the best out of that whole movie as far as special effects and blood and stuff goes. Like, she had blood coming out of her nose, and that was the best part for me anyway for special effects.
And when she was getting smashed with the iron,
cheesy.
like the iron marks on the face actually looked pretty good.
They did. The burns didn't really look super legit, but I get it.
I mean, they're fresh burns too. They're not going to be like immediately red, but some of the melting and stuff. Like, I think they did like a decent job there. Her acting was actually pretty decent.
She was probably the best one out of everybody.
Yeah.
Dude.
She played the feisty Latina very well.
That angry mother-in-law, she did great. I don't know her age. I don't see it in our thing, and hopefully she's still around. But she was very convincing mother-in-law, crazy mother-in-law.
I don't think
good.
she's even been in anything else.
Oh, some other campy.
So I guess she wasn't.
Stuff.
So.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
Wow, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
So.
All right, so that was our take on that crazy movie. Corey gets to choose next week's movie.
Next week's list is Keep Watching the Skies, and it covers American sci-fi fiction movies of the 50s up through 62. So a lot of the... I guess it's when they were making movies that were communist propaganda, only they used aliens instead of communists. So a lot of those kind of movies. 1984 I'm seeing here is one of those movies. We will not watch 1984. No. But there's even some Abbott and Costello's in here and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'll pick something that looks super campy and...
We will watch it.
Yeah.
I will not fall asleep.
This is going to be one I can see that. So Cult Movie Challenge, if you've watched this far into the video, the Cult Movie Challenge is usually bad movies that for some reason, they did not do good in the box office, but for some reason they get a cult following later on. Super Troopers, I think, was one of those movies. Napoleon Dynamite was one of those movies.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show had a huge second, third life.
Yeah. I am a huge fan of Rocky Horror. He's a huge fan of Rocky Horror. So we're not immune to, we might end up liking some of these. So
yeah,
and it's fun.
I think this competition is going to turn in who can bore the other person the most with the movie, because these so far we're 2 for 2 on some pretty shitty movies.
Yep.
So I'm just going to find the shittiest of the shit. And
well, maybe we'll find a diamond in the rough sooner or later.
And Apocalypse Now was one of the movies we could have watched at Jensen. We're not watching Apocalypse Now. I could have sat through Apocalypse Now.
I've seen it. I don't care to see it ever again. Good.
So, all right. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe and
smash the bell.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.